Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Howie is usually the person who's up here leading the event. He unfortunately got stuck on the runway in North Carolina. We'll see if he makes it. Oh, he just landed, so he will be here by the end of the night. So I'm Sarah. I am Duke class of 2013. I spent the last 4 years at Amazon, currently a student at Columbia Business School. And sometimes I help organize these events. So this is our organizing team that's up here. So we're gonna introduce ourselves. And
Hi, I'm Bill Warren. I just launched a startup called Peeps, and we do crowdfunding for politics with a special community element that's all managed with blockchain-based voting. And so I'm diving into the entrepreneurial pool, but will not be pitching, fortunately, tonight.
Next year. So I'm Devin Bostock with Double Dookie. I finance startups, so I lead Comerica's New York technology and venture capital practice. Yeah, looking forward to the pitches here.
Hey, I'm Molly Himmelstein. I met a lot of you guys downstairs. Thanks for being patient with the name tags. I do marketing and social strategy at JetBlue, and I've been involved with DukeGEN for a few years now.
So tonight we are hosted by Yext, which is an amazing Duke company. So we have a representative from Yext here who is going to tell us a little bit about them. So if you want to, also a Dookie.
Yeah, thank you. Let me pull this slide. Okay, thank you. All right, yeah. So my name is Kelsey Linton. I've been at Yext for 2.5 years now. I'm a marketing strategist, and I'm also a 2015 Duke alum. So I've been at Yext for 2.5 years, and it's been amazing to watch the growth of the company, and I am very grateful to be a part of it and to be able to host events like this. So I'd love to give you a little bit about what Yext does so you know where you are. This is our Yext headquarters in New York City, and our mission at Yext is perfect information everywhere. And what I mean by that is we are pioneering a new industry called digital knowledge management. And digital knowledge is defined as the public facts about your business. So it's hours, address, location, holiday hours, menu items, insurance agents, doctors, anything you want the public to know, that's digital knowledge. So Yext puts companies in control of that digital knowledge everywhere across this digital ecosystem. And today's digital ecosystem consists of maps, apps, voice assistants, and intelligence services. I mean, if you think about it, now we're using Siri and Google Home and Amazon Alexa to get immediate answers and immediate information. So by using the Yext platform, if a company updates their information in our platform, it will, in near real time, be updated across this universe. And there's definitely opportunity as we shift into the future with AI and self-driving cars. The digital knowledge is going to be in more places, and it's important for brands to be everywhere consumers search on any platform and any device. And some of the reasons it's very important to manage your digital knowledge is so you have brand control and you know what your digital presence looks like. And aside from that, it also improves the customer experience. So if your information is easily accessible and discoverable by consumers, you're making a better customer experience. You could have them take an action and decide to visit your store. You could drive foot traffic or have them buy a product. So it's increasingly important, I think, in today's world to have your digital knowledge updated. And again, perfect information everywhere. And I look forward to hearing all of the other ideas from the up-and-coming entrepreneurs we have. So thanks for being here.
okay, so Kelsey is joining our judging panel as our Yext representative. So next we want to have all of our judges introduce themselves. If you could say your name, the year you graduated from Duke, and which school, and then a little quick bio.
Hi, David Beisel, Trinity 98. I'm a partner at Nextview Ventures. We are a seed stage venture capital firm. We have offices both here in New York as well as in Boston, but we invest throughout the country. We'll invest as little as a couple $100K up to $1 million, $1.5 million into seed stage startups.
Hello. Hi, my name's Tiffany Hall. I graduated from Duke Trinity College in 2000. By day, I'm a corporate attorney at MasterCard, and by night, I founded my own alcohol beverage spirits company called Empower Cocktails.
How exciting. Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Chu, O2 Gimba, and I'm a career track CTO and a sideline angel investor. CTO track, I'm former at Shutterstock here in New York. We led one of the IPO back in 12. And right now I'm with Cabbage, which is a small lending business, and we lent over $5 billion to small businesses, including startups throughout the US. So very excited to be here.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Lisa Burton, Executive Director at Hearst Lab. I'm Pratt 2007. My first boss out of school was a Duke alum. My first investor in my startup was a Duke alum, so I believe in the power of the Duke network. And at Hearst Lab now, we invest in and support women-led companies. So we provide pre-seed, seed stage investment, typically around $250,000. And then we actually provide office space for a year and access to a number of different resources within Hearst.
I am Salman Azhar. I am Duke, actually double Dukey, master's in 1990 and PhD in 1994 in computer science. And after doing some serial entrepreneurship and some angel investing, I'm back at Duke since 2014. And currently I'm the managing director of the Duke Angel Network. So if you are interested in angel investing or you have companies that need funding, you should be reaching out to me.
My name's Ed, Engineering 99. I've been both on the venture and the operating side. On the venture side, worked for Draper Fisher Jurvetson. We invested in Skype and Baidu. Those were some of our biggest companies. And then was at 500 startups as an entrepreneur in residence for about a year and a half. On the operating side, built and sold a company. We raised $400K and sold the company for $10 million. So that was doing referrals for apartments on Facebook, and just recently raised $1 million for a medical startup called Peer Medical that's anonymous peer-to-peer medical record sharing.
I'm Jeff Beckman, Fuqua class of 92. Spent 25 years working at Jefferies & Company running their convertible bond business. Now I work with my brother. We run a winery that's located out in California, and I do some investing on my own.
Thanks so much for taking the time to invest back into the Duke community. So I'm sure the entrepreneurs are very excited to hear your feedback. So with that, we'll get started. We have 8 companies that are pitching tonight. Also forgive the not very smooth AV transitions that will be happening. So look out for Bill over here, who will be letting you know when your time is almost up. And then so our first company is Re-Rent. Alakaya, if you want to come up here.
Hi, everyone. That's a lot. All right. So I am Duke class of 2013. While at Duke, I did the entrepreneurial focus, and it's great to see some of the other folks that were in the focus here as well presenting. And now I'm at Yale doing my MBA. Does this mic also work, or is this the?
Just not handheld. Okay.
The handheld? Okay. All right. So, I'm going to see if I can get out the echo a little bit. No, not so much. All right. Well, so to introduce you to Re-Rent, Re-Rent is the company that I launched during my time at Yale. And essentially, if you're a student and you're not already signed up for Re-Rent, you're wasting half of every rent check you write. Because 172 days out of the year, you're not at school. You're away on break. And so, for example, winter break is around the corner. And the average student's spending about $1,000 in New Haven on rent. And at Yale, collectively, there are 7,500 students that are off campus that will be gone for winter break, which is about a month long. So we're talking about $7.5 million in wasted rent money for space that's not going to use. At Duke, the situation's no better. There we have around 9,000 students off campus, which translates into $9 million that will be wasted this winter break. So re-rent is an opportunity to make some of that back. Re-rent takes the hassle out of home sharing by putting your place up on Airbnb for you and completely handling operations on your behalf while you're away traveling. While Airbnb is a platform that made home sharing possible, re-rent service makes it actually feasible and effortless, something that anyone can do, not just if you have the time or the know-how. And this is why re-rent was born. So you might ask, is there even demand in a city like New Haven or Durham for people coming in? The answer is yes. In a few short months of operations, we've hosted over 300 guests, which range from conference attendees, people interviewing prospective students, all sorts. And so how does it work? Well, we'll sit down with a client, we'll do a 20-minute consultation where we'll professionally photograph their home, we'll duplicate their keys, and then we'll create the listing, and from there it's plug and play. You just tell us when you're gonna be away, call it a day. We'll make those dates available online and handle everything from there. The online aspects that we handle include guest vetting and communication. We handle pricing and marketing. And then on the offline side, we handle key exchange, of course, hosting, cleaning. We provide our own linens, so sheets and towels. Your place is insured. So all in all, everything is taken care of. We call our clients re-renters, and re-renters return to their place as they left it, plus their share of the proceeds. We split things 50-50 with the re-renters since it's their place in our operations. And to date, all of the clients that we've worked with and helped home share have asked us to help them again. So we're excited about moving forward. So our vision is essentially that it's just as easy for someone who's traveling somewhere to share their place while they're gone as it is for them to book a place wherever they're going. Essentially, we believe that everyone can get more out of their homes if there's someone that can facilitate, and we're happy to be that neighbor. Our progress to date. So in a pilot that was mainly between fall break, spring break, winter break of last year, we did tens of thousands in revenue, and we're able to serve about 30 clients. And now this year, we've sort of just recently launched, and we're up to 30 clients. We're going into winter break. And I keep telling all those who will listen, you know, winter is coming. And if you're coming from Durham, like Howie, you know that winter is already here. And so it's time for you to sign up if you're a student. And for those in this audience, if you know landlords in Connecticut, in Providence, in Boston, some of the cities that we're looking to expand to at those campuses, we're really looking to get introductions there. Also, we'd be interested in learning more about just in general, like your insight into your own travels, when you're traveling, what you're looking for as far as what you're leaving behind and whether you're walking away from that. And with that, there's re-rent.
One question from judges.
Yeah, so I was in the apartment industry on my first company. And also we invested in a company called Voyajoy at 500 startups maybe 4 years ago. And if you look at some of the companies that are in this industry, like Pillow and Apartment Jet, I mean, you might have seen they just recently got acquired. They started also down this consumer path, but then they switched into something that was more business to business, working with big property management companies because they couldn't get enough people on, and there was too much logistics actually. So I'm curious how you think you're going to be different than Pillow, you know, Apartment Jet and the other folks who've been out there.
So I think that it's actually a huge play. I think that working with the multifamily, working with the landlords themselves, these building owners, these rental managers, that's a huge play. But I think that the consumer piece has to be done right for it to take off well. And so the logistics around it are very doable if you have the right set of things working together, because the pieces of labor that you need, like all of the pieces that you need to perform that service for the person, especially now as opposed to 5 years ago, can be pulled together pretty easily throughout the sharing economy. So pulling together cleaners, pulling together photography staff, pulling together the logistics of laundry, those sorts of things, that can all be handled much more easily than it was in the past. But we also will be kind of playing both of those channels. So.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Steph Alicia McCalman. I'm Duke class of 2008, and I'm currently a second-year MBA student at Columbia Business School. And I'm excited to present to you my media company, SAM, which stands for Steph Alicia Made. Flashy. Starting with the insight that Black women are the most educated demographic in the country. We also only make up 1.5% of executive and leadership roles. So if education is this key to the American dream, why is it not really translating into these leadership opportunities for us? There's also a challenge in terms of representation in media. And so as we're underrepresented in these leadership roles, you'll also commensurate with what's happening in the TV we're watching, the films we're watching, and also with podcasts that we're listening to and things like that. Meanwhile, this audience over-indexes on time spent consuming content across these platforms. If you think about social media usage, for example, Black Twitter is very much alive and well thanks to the energy of some really wonderful, prominent Black female voices there, yet we're not seeing that translate into the content that is available for us to consume. In some of the research that I did interviewing people in my target audience, this frustration really came out a lot, that Black women weren't able to see their aspirations reflected back to them. You know, if there's a Black woman who's interested in VC, for example, and you meet the one, or you see the one other Black woman who's in the field, you're gonna go down this rabbit hole trying to figure out, who is this woman, how can I be like her? That rabbit hole usually starts and ends with LinkedIn. You know, we're not getting to see us be featured as prominently on like startup and how I built this and in a lot of that career and entrepreneurship focused content. And then also, when you do get to see Black women featured, it's the same names over and over again. There's Oprah, there's Ava, there's Michelle, these single name phenoms who are absolutely incredible, but also there are more than 3 Black women in the world. There are actually 21 million in the US alone. And this underserved market also represents $1.4 trillion in buying power. So you can imagine that if you can create content that's more reflective of the audience, you can also advertise to them pretty effectively as well. So my solution is called Steph Alicia Made, and it's a universe where Black women are the stars. And it's a production company where I'm creating content that is telling stories about Black women at work. The first series is called See, Hear, Be, and it's a cross-platform storytelling vehicle where I'll be profiling women in different industries and publishing that in podcasts and with photography and social media. And here is a mock of what that experience would be. So the interview would be available through popular podcast publishers, including the Apple Podcast app, their Stitcher, SoundCloud, and other platforms. And then the accompanying photography series that would serve as a content marketing vehicle to push back to the episode. In terms of revenue streams, currently testing advertising, subscription, and content licensing models. So you can imagine a platform, let's say like a publication at Hearst, for example, there's an opportunity to partner with publishers who want this kind of content, but haven't maybe figured out how to hire a Black person to do it. And in terms of the team, so there's me as the founder and two other Sams I know really well, also known as my sisters. And so Stacy, she is my tech person. She's currently a project manager at an ed tech company. And then Shanette, she's my marketing and media guru. She is at the NPR affiliate in Atlanta, working for a Duke alum there. In terms of progress to date, at Columbia, I was fortunate to win the summer startup track pitch competition. So that gave me a great grant that I can start producing this content with. And we have an accelerator on campus called the Entrepreneurial Greenhouse. I also was recently accepted into that. And I have 4 episodes in development, including 2 featuring Duke alum. My plan is to launch in season 1. So the first industry I'm going to target is educators and interviewing Black female educators all over the industry. So that's not just teachers or principals, but also looking at who's in education policy, activism, charter schools, public schools, and really just get a robust picture of that. And here's an example of what my content calendar can look like. And that is it.
So I would love to hear about your decision to start with podcasts.
Sure. So looking at, in researching different platforms or different mediums and where we are consuming content, but also really underrepresented, podcasts is still a mostly white male space. There are a few shows on there that really resonate with Black audiences, but you're talking about a handful of like 5 really big names. And so there's a huge opportunity there. For me, cost-wise, it is much more cost-effective to start with podcasts as opposed to video. And really that's where the photography piece came in so that I could circumvent the video production piece of this while also still answering the need for more visibility and using that photography to therefore promote and serve as a content marketing vehicle for the show.
Great, thanks. Will you tell us a little bit about how you plan to get it in front of consumers?
Sure. With my plan being to do the first season of content in August and launching August through October of next year, I'd like to then do a campus tour so I can meet my target audience where she is, which is in school. And with the plan being to hit at least 10 different cities, definitely going to Duke, do some events at Columbia and at a number of the different major university hubs around the country so that I can do on-the-ground live shows and interviewing Black female educators on those campuses as well. So to give a real personal touch for the students in the audience to get to know who's there and available to them at the university.
Thanks.
Okay, if you're standing in the back, I think there's a couple of seats throughout if you want to try to find one.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Hawkins. I'm a Duke 2012 alum. Hey. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Cabinet, which is a trusted online community for assistants. There are 250 million assistants worldwide, and all of them undergo a ton of stress. I know this personally because I was one of them for many years. And part of this stress is because there's a lot of purchasing decisions that they have to make every day. This means that they're booking travel, they're buying office equipment, they're buying office furniture, new software, and there's no education or background in how to do this when you become an assistant. And any one of these mistakes, if you mess up, can get you fired, or it can cost the company tons of money. So here is just a sample of some of the brands that you're faced with when you're choosing what hotel should my boss stay in, what web conferencing software should we use, what voice over IP company should we use. So we decided to build Cabinet, which is a trusted community where admins worldwide can come together and can discuss the options that they've used, they've trial and error, and share this knowledge with other admins so that they're not making these mistakes over again. We're building a community. But in the future, we want to actually build tools internally that we take this wealth of information from the community, we take their pain points that they're discussing, and we actually build them catered tools that can help augment their workflow to make them more productive. So we launched a pilot about 3 months ago, and we have 125 members at about 40 different cities, and almost every single one of them works at a different company. I'll go through the typical user experience. So Elise is a real person. She lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and she works for a finance company. She recently needed to book her bosses to Chicago for a trip. And so she posted on Cabinet, where this is her homepage, and she can see all the other questions posted. She posted her own question about she needed a hotel that had a great bar, but also a really big meeting space. So she asked the community, and within an hour, she had 7 responses from other admins who just wanted to help her. And they were admins based in Chicago, or that they had booked a lot of travel to Chicago and had recommendations for her. So her problem was solved within an hour. We've had a lot of feedback from people like Elise saying how tremendous this is, and that they've been waiting the 30 years they've been an admin to actually have something like this. But the number one thing they want is to connect with more members in their city, but also members in the cities where they're booking travel frequently. So the methods that we've tried so far have worked really well. Cold calling and cold emailing. If you think about it, admins are always available. They're always by the phone. They're always on email. So they're really easy to reach, and we're solving a problem for them, so they're happy to be a part of the community. But we're going to do more than just those channels. We're going to use a little bit of money to reach 2,000 users in 6 months, mixing it up a bit. And so I mentioned that in the future, we want to build tools by taking this internal information and doing something about it. So I'm not going to go into the details, but we have on our website, which is joincabinet.com, we have a splash page up, which talks about some of the features we already want to build for a travel tool catered towards admins. This is my team. I met my co-founders at Cornell Tech, where I just finished my MBA, Evan and Amber, technology and a designer. So we call ourselves the hustler, the hacker, and the hipster. And I'll just leave you with this one last thought. So you've probably read in the news about AI assistants. Well, these technologies have not been widely adopted in business because they don't work, because admins' jobs are way more complex than these technologies are breaking it down to be. And so Cabinet is actually empowering the real human assistants, the 250 million assistants worldwide that do these jobs, to do them better with confidence and ease. Thank you.
I wasn't sure how you monetize, given that a lot of these admin assistants are working in small organizations. Do they typically leverage their boss's credit cards? So how do you go about getting them signed up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I was an admin, I had my own credit card for the company because I was making decisions all the time. And we've talked to other admins, and this is mostly the case. They have their own company credit card, and they can usually spend under like $50 per month on like a specific item without needing to get approval. And of course, this varies depending on the organization. So we're trying to keep the premium features under $50 per month per user.
Great, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Perfect. My name is Akbar Dowd. I was in Duke 05, Trinity and Pratt, which was really fun. Really great to be following a lot of amazing Duke startups, so hopefully I'll keep you guys entertained. We are working on the future of insights, and let me show you what I mean. Oh. Sorry.
If you point at a computer, or just...
We'll go manual. So, I think everyone's familiar with GIFs and memes having a moment right now culturally, but there's also something else interesting happening is that charts are also just as popular and actually even more popular than GIFs recently with the run-up before the elections. So this is something that our team's been working on with the Associated Press, New York Times, and a few others while we were in the Matter.vc accelerator as well. And my co-founder, who's also a Dukey, was a data journalist with Al Jazeera during the Arab Spring, which is really where the kernel of this idea came from. But as we teased it out, we realized it's a really hard thing to find the charts you want. And I know a lot of VCs in the room probably experienced this, where they start looking for stuff, and something as simple as gun charts gives you a lot of noise, little context, and poor clustering. This is interesting because we took this information and we built a little hackathon in our company, and we threw out something over the weekend before the gun march that happened earlier this year. And we ended up getting 15,000 hits in the first week on those sites that are really helping kids tell their story. And we further saw evidence of this when we looked at Google kind of image search and how that's kind of, their market share is being taken by the likes of Giphy, Tenor, and the like. So we teased that out a little further, and we ended up making a search engine, the first search engine for graphs, charts, infographics, data in general. And we're making the world's data accessible for once. Oh, sorry. What I do want to add over here is we launched this in September. We've had 300,000 users since then. We're seeing a lot of behavior where people are posting this on Reddit, starting conversations. Comments include discussions not only of the chart itself, but of the source, where the data is coming from. And so we're trying to take that community and build it into our platform now as well. Try to be the hub for where people come to learn and digest this information. We're trying also to fight the filter bubble. So it's very easy to search for something and start to get the answers you want. So what we're trying to do is build a context engine whereby if you were to search for certain data, click into certain charts, you present it with other charts from the other points of view and try to build a more holistic view of that, whatever you're looking to. We did just get our term sheet from First Mark. We're raising $1 million. We filled out 75% of the round, so it's something to keep in mind for those people who have angel funds and are looking. But we are also, in terms of strategy to bring on users, we are not silly enough to think everyone's going to come to us. So we are trying to get out in front of everyone. We're building integrations like our Slack integration, where now teams can actually share insights with each other, communities. And we're going out and building those same integrations with HubSpot and a lot of other places where content marketers and journalists are actually creating that content and getting out there. Beyond that, we are working with big publishers from our previous product. One, for example, is Bloomberg, who's reached out to us. They understand that their model of selling their $50,000, $100,000 terminals isn't really the way things are moving nowadays. And they're interested in doing more of a micro model with us and reaching out to millennials, which is where most of our traction has been and where these guys are having trouble getting to. Beyond that, we're working with big publishers like Quartz and others to build out their profile pages on our site and start to become the hub and the place for that. And the hope would be to monetize that going forward by sending people to those paywalls, providing those click-throughs. And I think there's an opportunity to really build a knowledge graph around this when we start to understand what people are searching, how they're looking at that data, and what conversations they're having around it, and be able to hopefully democratize data. But let's see, in the future, we're seeing new feature sets like we were talking about these context and related charts, as well as creating data stories and what do you call kind of places for Instagram where you can have carousels and see a whole bunch of information really quickly. Otherwise, we have a iMessage app coming out, or iMessage integration coming out next month. This is my great team. My co-founder is also a Dukey. In the room, we have Tommy and Juan, which is a great designer and great ML AI expert. And we have the guy from Microsoft who built Power BI, which has been a great win for us. Beyond that, please check it out. Love your feedback, and all feedback is welcome. Yeah, thank you.
So how do you curate the data? In other words, like when the Women Congress, how do you decide that that is the particular chart to show?
It's a good question. On Slack, the integrations aren't so straightforward, let's say.
So just generally, not with Slack.
Sure. Right now, we're basically just serving up what seems to be the most relevant, recent contextually for what they're looking for, what they typed in keyword-wise. But they have the option to go through and look at other ones as well, so you can have a little bit of a play where you can...
And how do you determine what is the most relevant in context?
That's interesting. So what we've taken is a lot of what AWS and Google have already done with their vision work and other algorithms, and we're building on top of that. So Google is good at telling you what may or may not look like a chart. What we're good at doing in our IP is telling you what that chart's about, what the x-axis, what the y-axis is, what the context, what's the source, is it a good source, what's the publisher, where's it coming from, where'd the link come from, is there a data set that's related to it, and kind of going deeper down that road. Yeah.
And that information is automated or manually?
Automated, okay. That's the key. Yeah, scalable. Yeah, it'd be impossible otherwise. We tried to learn, not to do. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
I didn't remember the name of that one, but I just remember your name, and that's how I can put a face to the name.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Schindler. I'm the co-founder and CEO of PathSpot. My co-founder and I are both Pratt 2015 graduates, and I hope everyone's finished their dinner before we start this pitch. So my first question is, how many of you started avoiding eating at Chipotle after you heard about their foodborne illness issues? You're not alone. In fact, their stock has dropped over 55% since news of their first outbreak, and similar fates have befallen many other well-known chains. But what you may not know is that for each person who gets sick with foodborne illness, the average cost is $75,000 in fines and fees for an establishment. And that's not including damage to their brand and loss of business because of it. But foodborne illness isn't just really expensive, it's also really dangerous. 1 in 6 Americans get sick each year from foodborne illness, leading to countless hospitalizations and even deaths. Half of those illnesses are directly the cause of poor hand washing practices. So why is the current best practice solution the signs we all know? Employees must wash hands before returning to work, and trainings that tell us about how to wash their hands? I mean, my co-founder and I went to Pratt. We were like, there's got to be a technical solution. So we went to a Radio Shack going out of business sale and started making one. And that's why we created PathSpot, which is a system for protecting food service companies and their customers from the threat of foodborne illness by instantly scanning employees' hands to detect for harmful contamination in less than 2 seconds. Our unit is able to use mobile-based technology as well as visible light fluorescence spectroscopy to look for the core indicators behind things like E. coli, salmonella, neurovirus, hepatitis A, listeria, all those things you don't want to get when you go out to eat. And it's really easy to use. We mount it on the wall next to a hand washing sink, and after an employee washes their hands, they just put them under the device, flip them over, and they instantly see back if they have any contamination. Green, you're all clear, or red, you just need to rewash before anyone can get sick. We then aggregate that data and give it to the management teams. So they're able to be in their corporate office and see online how many people are scanning and at what times. They can customize trainings for their establishments, and they can create a really positive culture around sanitation for their locations. We started working on this about a year ago, and we've grown quickly from wires taped to a dinner plate to a fully functioning product that's installed across the food service industry in farms, packaging facilities, and restaurants. We're working with several well-known brands, but what's more important to us is that our product is working. In the last 6 months, we've scanned over 200,000 hands, and we've detected over 10,000 instances of contamination that could have made someone sick. We're also seeing that in the locations where we install the unit, people actually get better at hand washing. In the first week of use, we see that 20% of people fail their hand scan, and that drops by 75% after just 1 month of working with our product. And our model is really simple. We lease the units and the data to the locations for between $50 and $150 a month. So we cover our cost to produce within the first month of using our product. And across the food service industry, this is a $9 billion annual opportunity for PathSpot. But we're not stopping there. Sure, right now we're scanning for foodborne illness in food service, but what if you could look for peanut oil in schools, staph infection in hospitals, flu in office spaces? The PathSpot will be that system at the intersection of illness and humanity and provide the instantaneous detection tools necessary for preventative care. My co-founder and I started working together on our first engineering lab report in the basement of GA, and we continued working together as we founded and scaled a national nonprofit organization that gets girls interested in engineering, and as we developed the technology behind PathSpot. And right now, we've grown a lot from the wires taped to dinner plate phase, and are currently scaling our supply chain and our manufacturing to be able to support our constantly growing customer list. So our asks for you tonight are, one, if you know anyone who's working in food service industry that would be interested in hearing more about our product, please let us know. Also, we're hiring. We're looking for anyone in customer success and development, as well as in software engineering. So if anyone is looking for a job or knows someone who is, please come talk to us. Thank you so much. I updated our usual thank you slide with some fun pictures, as I thought would be appreciated by this group.
Can you just talk a little bit about the profile of restaurants that are going to be early adopters? Is it chains? Is it big chains, little chains, kind of small mom and pop? Just what is their decision-making process?
Yeah, definitely. Our current best user base, in the beginning we installed across the industry because we were getting interest from so many different food service groups. And then we've kind of narrowed in on our target market, which is really chain restaurant locations between 50 and 500 locations. The reason are that most of these are corporate owned, so they're able to make a quick decision that is able to roll out this to all of their restaurant locations in one fell swoop. And because these quickly developing brands can see the crippling effect of foodborne illness really apparently. So the ability to be able to track that through our online data portal is massive for them and also for their customers.
Thanks.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Mergendis, Duke 2013, and I'm the co-founder of Real Factors, a data intelligence platform for commercial real estate investors. So I'll start with the vision. Bloomberg for commercial real estate. For those of you not familiar, Bloomberg is one of the largest software and data companies in the financial services industry. Nothing of the like for commercial real estate. So that's a scale we're looking at. So where do most finance professionals get data? I mentioned Bloomberg. If you're in public equities, you look at FactSet. For private equity, you look at CapIQ. Nothing of the sort for commercial real estate. Where do commercial real estate professionals get data? A lot of places. So let's say you want to look at multifamily properties in the East Village. You typically have to toggle between 10 to 15 resources. So go to commercial data providers for historical transactions or leases. Maybe you look at your internal databases for historical rent rolls because you have an asset in that area. Public data sets like census and BLS for demographic and economic information. And then proprietary data from brokers in the form of spreadsheets and PDFs. So what's the solution to this? Real Factors. So the data terminal uses the latest tooling and technologies and data integration, machine learning to pull together all of those different disparate data sets into a single place and provide software and data products in the form of indices to make commercial real estate finance professionals' lives easier. So in the past, to use that example of multifamily properties in the East Village, typically it would take you 10 to 15 minutes, go through a bunch of different resources. The data terminal pulls all those data points in a single place, gives you the ability to visualize and layer it all on a map, and then uncovers new insights. So through some unique data partnerships, we have access to cell phone location data, anonymous income data, among other things. So we can do things like quantify the hyperlocal business environment. This is a heat map showing the most expensive and least expensive places in New York, yellow being the most expensive. We can calculate a property's proximity to a point of interest. If you have a large rental property, you want to be close to Whole Foods, SoulCycle, Equinox, whatever it may be. We can measure the impact of local income on transaction prices, and even track, I know it's a little scary, article in the New York Times today about it, but track where people move within cities and understand where there are the most kind of clusters of people if you're investing in retail, as an example. So why commercial real estate? One of the largest asset classes in the world. The stock of commercial real estate assets is set to grow to 69 trillion by 2030. Institutional investors continue to increase their commercial real estate allocations, been growing drastically from the 80s to today. With a really large total addressable market, 26,000 possible customers, anyone from a bank and private equity firm, all the way to a corporation with retail locations like Chipotle. Hopefully they sanitize their hands. And really large public comps. So CoStar, RealPage, MSCI, Altus, on aggregate 32 billion in market cap, but very antiquated technology. We've spoken to a lot of their customers. They're really interested in what we're working on because most of these companies have not created anything new in the past decade. Where we're going. So we released the first version in May of 2018. We signed GIC as our first customer, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Singapore, one of the largest real estate asset managers in the world, contracting several other pilots, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, among others. We've raised $240K to date and seeking an additional $250K to scale our engineering and data science teams and accelerate customer acquisition. A lot of product features and requests. We just frankly don't have the time or resources to get after them. And the team to do it. So finance and software professionals worked at places like BlackRock and Deutsche Bank, all the way down to small startups in Silicon Valley. All have a commercial real estate background in one sense or another, deep domain expertise, and kind of understand the problems firsthand of the data inefficiencies in the commercial real estate market. Not on the slide, we also have 3 engineers abroad. And we're excited to be building a new platform for the built world. Thank you.
Hi. You talked a little bit about the pilots you have in play. Can you talk a little bit about what the feedback has been thus far and if you're fulfilling all their needs or other things they need, things like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part of the
Just
question.
about fulfilling the needs they thought it would satisfy or additional things you're looking at exploring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from what we've done with GIC thus far, the biggest or most exciting piece is the alternative data. Commercial real estate investors, as I mentioned, are kind of a decade behind from a technology perspective and not really adopting that alternative data. So as an example, if you can track what foot traffic looks like in 2 competing malls, even though from a financials perspective they may look similar, if you see one has twice as much foot traffic, that tells you something. And once you combine that with other things like what is the local business footprint around there, what is income like in that neighborhood, it becomes a really powerful portfolio optimization tool. We're not there yet, but getting there.
Also, it looks like Howie has arrived with the programs, so you can actually see some of the names and companies that are pitching tonight.
Hi, I'm Harris, and I'm the founder and CEO of Talk Hiring. Okay. Oops, yeah. In February of this year, I started volunteering with the HOPE program, a workforce development nonprofit in Brooklyn. And what I'd do is I'd sit in the computer lab and I'd help job applicants with their resumes, cover letters, and job applications. And what I saw time and time again was that candidates often had the skills and the experience to do the jobs they're applying for. But the biggest hurdle was the job application itself. And what I mean is that a lot of candidates don't present themselves well in a written digital form, resumes uploaded to an online job application, but yet almost every job requires this today. And then I did some digging and saw it wasn't just affecting this little pocket in Brooklyn, but actually 76% of high school students are not proficient in written English. So my vision is to use voice instead of text to allow candidates to talk about themselves, create their job application, and apply to jobs. Why now? Number one, speech-to-text technology has gotten much more accurate, and number two is mobile. The user experience of uploading a resume to a mobile job application is awful, but yet over 50% of millennials are job searching there. A much more mobile-friendly solution would be to talk about yourself, ultimately what the phone was designed to be used for originally. So I'm building a marketplace with employers on one side, job seekers on the other. And instead of going after both sides of this market from the outset, I've instead built an automated behavioral phone interviewing tool that I sell to employers as a screening step in their hiring pipeline. That way, as more employers start using the product and more candidates interview with the product, I'll eventually get access to both sides of this market to both source and screen candidates instead of just screening like I do today. So as I mentioned, our first product is an automated behavioral phone interviewing tool. It's really great for employers and candidates. On the employer side, they save tons of time, minimize distraction by doing many fewer interviews. They get to really understand the personality of their candidates, and they can listen to the interview recordings or read the transcriptions whenever they're available. And finally, they can really cut down their time to hire because candidates can apply and interview in the same day. On the candidate side, they can do the interview whenever, wherever. Nights and weekends is a popular time. But the most important aspect is that it's a low stress, low anxiety, and low tech interview. So candidates can really shine. There are no time limits. Candidates can redo their answers, and all they need is a phone, mobile or landline. Our traction date is really awesome, at least I think so, considering we've only been in business for 12 weeks. We've got 10 employers using the product. 36 interviews have been completed. Out of those 36, 2 candidates received job offers, and we have a partnership with Nassau County in Long Island to help employers there find good candidates. So in the recruitment landscape, there are the job aggregators, Indeed, oh geez, what should I do? Nice. So in the recruitment landscape, there are the job aggregators, Indeed, Craigslist, ZipRecruiter, et cetera. They'll get you a ton of candidates, on average 250 per job posting, but you're not going to interview all 250. You're probably going to filter on the resume, and you'll filter out candidates who can do the job. And then there are automated interviewing tools, both phone and video. On the phone side, Indeed has the most popular one, and they're offering it totally free for this year only. But for employers, there's no transcription, and it's a lot faster to read an interview than listen to it. And for candidates, there's strict time limits, and candidates aren't able to and candidates aren't given much time to think before they have to give their answer. So it's a stressful experience, and it's really tough to do their best. In the video interviewing world, there are a slew of competitors. HireVue is the main one. But these tools have been getting a lot of pushback recently from candidates because it is really uncomfortable to stare at yourself in a one-way video interview. You have to know what to wear, what type of environment to be in. Now there are algorithms evaluating, are you smiling enough? Are you making enough eye contact? So there's a lot going on, and it's really tough to do your best. It's a team of 2 right now. Before this, I was a senior engineer at X.AI. They help people schedule meetings. And if you scheduled a meeting with Howie, you've probably used the product. And before that, I built 3 failed startups at Duke. So I have some startup experience and some failures under my belt. And I work with Anson Irvin, a part-time software engineer. Let's talk hiring.
So I'm trying to figure out what is the employer's incentive. I would rather be able to see the person, and also related to that, I want to do automated searches. So if I'm an employer, LinkedIn is actually a better tool for me than even submitting resumes.
You mean, wait, what did you say is a better tool?
So I want to be able to search resume databases as an employer. And LinkedIn would be a better tool because I get more volume there. And then also I would like to be able to see the person and how they interact with me as opposed to get an offline.
Right. So I'm going more after the middle and lower skilled jobs, which a lot of the people are not on LinkedIn. And then the video piece or just seeing the person, number one, from the candidate side, it is a lot more effort and it just takes more time to present yourself well in a visual way as opposed to an audio way. And second of all, it can open yourself up to bias if you do know what the person looks like. And then I think if I build something that the candidate really likes and they're willing to use it and share a bunch about them, all the employer wants is a qualified candidate. So if I can get the employer a qualified candidate, the hope is that they'll follow along. Okay.
Hey, this is the intro, so don't start the timer. I'm just introducing. So my name is Ayanga Akpakowork, Trinity 09, Computer Science. I'm the CTO at 5 to 9. Jasmine, she went to Notre Dame, so don't hate her for it, But I'm just here to introduce her. She's our CEO, and she'll tell you more about the platform. So.
Thanks, Ayanga. Yes, do not boo me off the stage because I went to Notre Dame. It's not my fault. All right. Does this work? Okay. We're 5 to 9, a workplace engagement platform that's powered by people analytics. And I have a confession to make. My ex is corporate America. I broke up with corporate America about 5 years ago because as a woman in the firm, I did not feel that the culture reflected me. That's me running away. And similar to myself, employees across the board feel the same. So much so that $160 billion is lost due to employee turnover every year in the United States. And half of those employees are saying that the reason why they're leaving is because of bad company culture. So if that's the case, then why is management not fixing this? And that's because managing culture is hard. We received a grant from the National Science Foundation and spoke with over 100 HR teams and found that 70% of them are using anywhere from 4 to 5 tools that do not communicate with one another to manage and organize their internal culture initiatives. And that's the same amount of tools that our product supplants for our customers. 5 to 9 is a simple tool that helps management retain and engage their best people. HR teams and people leaders can now collaborate across the board to host all their culture initiatives in one place and understand the ROI behind it. Let me walk you through how it works. On the front end, we have a very fun facing platform for employees where they can view, sign up for all the upcoming programs in their company. So this is everything from trainings and workshops all the way through, let's say, volunteer experiences. And after each event, they answer a 1-question pulse survey, and that data rolls up to management. Now HR teams, they have a bird's eye view of how their culture is actually engaging their people. So no more throwing money at the wall and seeing what sticks. But then also they have the opportunity to see our demographic insights that can let them know if the culture they're building is inclusive or not. And for attraction, we launched our platform last quarter and have already brought 5 clients on board, from public companies like Twilio to national startups like Postmates. And these bring $100K in ARR and contract value for 2019 alone, and all of our pilots so far have converted. And our future is bright. Our late-stage pipeline includes clients like Amazon and Dow, and by Q4 of 2019, we're projected to reach about 2 million ARR. And our customers love us, from saying that we help them to better understand the ROI behind their culture initiatives, to helping them streamline communications, and furthermore, they all say that it's easy and simple to use. And we're different and we're set apart because we've built our product based in organizational psychology. Our team, we have a background in that. In addition, not only do we have something that is not only just event management, community management, or just people analytics, but our product streamlines those two. And a lot of our competitors only focus on one or the other. And the opportunity is huge. And the employee engagement space is $74 billion, and it's growing year over year by 8%. And our team gets it. From working in companies like Ernst & Young to Bain & Company to building the best products at ThoughtWorks, we're the team to beat. In addition, as immigrants, people of color, men and women, we're a super diverse team, and we understand the benefits of when a company gets culture right and the detriment to when they don't. And we're leveraging capital to scale. We just opened up our seed round last month. Actually, I need to update that. We're now 60% committed in our round. And we're looking for partners to come alongside us who want to help create more inclusive and relationship-oriented culture, because it matters. Thanks so much. Again, I'm Jasmine, and I'm hoping to help more employees swipe right on their culture. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you. I love to hear more about how you're planning to increase adoption by HR companies and their teams.
Absolutely. So one thing that was really important for us was to give employees something that was engaging and fun for them on the front end. So what we've seen in the HR tech space is that typically adoption is pretty low. It's about 30%. So by us creating something in the front end that's engaging and actually makes employees want to be a part of it, we know and we've been able to see that our adoption rate is higher than the industry standard. So that's one thing, is by focusing on the employees. And then on the back end, the data and analytics, as HR tech is moving a lot more towards that. In the past, they kind of weren't focusing on it. We know that that's going to be a key thing that helps them to want to buy our product, because they could show the ROI in our platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the judges are going to go off and deliberate. Oh. Okay. I think Kelsey will lead you to wherever you're going. And then we're also going to do an audience choice vote using Poll Everywhere. So basically the way it works, you text whichever code of which company you think won the pitch to this number. And then if we could have the entrepreneurs come back up to the front, we can also spend this time doing some Q&A with the audience. So does anybody from the audience want to start with any questions for the entrepreneurs we have up here? It's like everyone's, we'll keep the polls open for how long do you think, Howie?
A minute.
A minute. You can get your votes in.
I have a really just hopefully quick and easy question for Steph. Is there a way, like if I want to find out when your podcast comes out, do you have a list, anything now or social media that's already set up?
No, I haven't. I'm still in the very early development stages of this. And so in terms of website and all of that, that's going to happen in the first quarter of the new year. Yeah. But we can exchange contact information and I will.
Okay. Somehow Poll Everywhere is showing the results. Do we want to do that next?
Does anybody need more time to vote? Raise your hand if you need more time to vote. We got two more people here. We'll take one more question and then I'll stop the poll here.
Hi, for PathSpot, just was wondering about the supply chain process for the hardware that you're producing. Where is it produced and how are you coming up with the demand based on the customers that you're seeing? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Currently, all of our products are actually 3D printed locally in Brooklyn. We're in the process of scaling that because obviously it's not sustainable to continuously 3D print and then glue them together ourselves, but that's how we've been keeping up with the current demand, to be honest. We do a lot of late nights gluing and soldering things together. If anyone wants to join, we order pizza. But we are in the process of building out a larger supply chain. That's our main focus right now.
Are you raising money?
We actually just closed our seed round, so that's what it was for.
All right, should we open up the?
So we're just gonna, everyone stay up there. We're gonna just lock the poll and show the results. There you go.
Woo!
Okay, so we are gonna go back to Q&A, and we're gonna do Q&A for a little bit more, and then I think I'll talk a little bit. We're only giving the judges like 7 minutes, so we're gonna be right back to that very soon.
Okay. Other audience questions?
All right, first of all, great job, everyone. That was very impressive. I have a question for PathSpot regarding the technologies that you use. Is it possible to distinguish between commensal flora on the skin, like bacteria that don't cause disease, versus those that do?
Yeah, great question. So we use visible light fluorescent spectroscopy in our technology, which basically identifies only for specific contaminants. So we can set exactly what we want to look for, and therefore we don't look for harmless bacteria. Otherwise, our hands would light up constantly. So we've actually narrowed in on what the indicators are behind those harmful bacteria, and we only look for those with our technology.
Do hand dryers and them spreading germs all over the bathroom impact the results at all?
Mind repeating the question?
Yeah, she asked about hand dryers and how that impacts our product, which is a great question, because hand dryers are really bad for sanitation. They basically, a quick summary of how you wash your hands: you have contamination present on your hands, you wash it, the soap gets rid of it, and then you should use a paper towel to remove that and throw it away. A hand dryer just blows it all over the establishment. And so actually it creates a lot of cross-contamination. And the risk behind cross-contamination is you might feel like you had just washed your hands perfectly, you touch someone else's hands, or you touch a counter that's contaminated. Our device can pick up 5 degrees of separation from the actual contaminant. And so that's how we're able to help with that problem that restaurants face.
Any last questions?
Right down in the back there.
I can just yell it out.
Okay.
So, Foxwood, again, how are you managing like false positive risk liability? And then on the flip side, if you're contracting your way around that, how are you managing that on the customer side? Like if you're contracting your way saying if there's a false positive, we're not liable, then also building confidence with your customer base that the product works.
Yeah, definitely. So we currently lean towards false positives because in our case, if you have a false positive, the only thing you have to do is rewash your hands and rescan them. So if there's ever an instance where a device is unsure, we lean towards a false positive, which is unique from several other devices. We don't market as a diagnostic tool, therefore we're not actually liable. We market ourselves as a training process and tool. But the restaurant locations, I mean, honestly, the data after 1 week of seeing the impact and watching people fail a scan, wash their hands, come back and rescan, talking to their staff about how that makes an impact, that really builds the trust with them, as well as the long-term trends of seeing the impact over time.
The others?
Okay.
Howie, take it over.
All right, well, let's give Sarah and everyone up here a round of applause here. Thank you all so much. You can go down and have a seat for right now. So, I'm so sorry for being late. I was at the airport for 3 hours, but that's nothing because my colleague Monica up here was at the airport for 9 hours. So it's just one of those days. That's what 5 inches of snow in North Carolina can do to you. I'm going to let everyone go ahead and network in just a minute. But before you do, I want to just talk a little bit about what this event is and what you're here for. This is our 19th DukeGEN Startup Showcase. Before I jump in, how many people
is this your first DukeGEN event? So for how many people is this your first? Great. So for almost, wow, that's like a lot of you. So for most of you, you've never been to DukeGEN. You have no idea what this thing is, why you're here, and what this is all about. So this is the 19th event of this kind. And let me just tell you a little bit about what this organization is. So I work at Duke, Monica works at Duke, we flew in from North Carolina, and the question that was the genesis of DukeGEN back in 2008 was, how do you connect Duke folks that are interested in startups? And at the time, there was really nothing. If you were a person in New York City that was running a startup and you were a Duke person, you probably didn't know that many other Duke people other than maybe a college roommate or something like that. So we started DukeGEN back then, and the goal of DukeGEN is productive connections, and I hope that tonight you will take that to heart. Go ahead and walk up to a stranger, say hello. We also have an after party, which, Sarah, do we have a location for the after party yet?
Yes, Kelsey knows what it is.
Kelsey knows what it is. She is one of the judges, so Kelsey will come back and tell us what location we're going to the after party for. But we will have an after party, and most people mill about here right after the judges announce their winner. So please do be friendly, say hello to a stranger. This is all about making productive connections. So back when DukeGEN started, we started with a LinkedIn group, and now we're the third largest Duke University group on LinkedIn, and I think the largest university-based group on LinkedIn. We started with 0 Dukies, and now we're at over 8,000. I think it's getting close to 9,000. And as with any group, you can ask questions and get answers. What we decided a few years ago is we said, you know what, this Facebook thing seems to be pretty popular. Let's go ahead. Oop. I think I turned off my mic by accident there. That's a bad design. Do you have the other one? Thank you. Hello? Hello? Oh, they worked. So Facebook, we started a group and we now have about almost 5,000 people in that group. There are almost daily posts. And so if you want to stay connected on all things that are going on in the Duke entrepreneurship world, all of the alums that are raising money, that have started companies, that have been acquired or gone public, including Yext, please join our DukeGEN group on Facebook. And the other thing is that since this is the first event for most of you, we do have events 3 times a year that happen in New York City and a bunch of other cities around the U.S. These are actually photos from our first event in 2009, August 2009, happening in multiple cities on the same night. And so since 2009, we've hosted about 300 events in a ton of locations, including we've hosted about 3 events a year in New York City ever since we started. So please do join us for one of those events. Again, get to meet other people. And so what I'm just going to say is that, so this event came about because in 2010, we had somebody, Jim Scheinman, who is a Duke investor who's invested in 5 companies that have gone to $1 billion. Jim said, hey, what we really ought to do is connect Duke startups to Duke investors, which is what you saw up here. So this is our first event from May 2010 in San Francisco. The judges from left to right are Ryan Spoon, who now runs everything related to product and content at ESPN, but back then he was an investor. Josh Felser, who's probably Duke's most active investor. He's wearing the plaid shirt. He's invested in about 90 companies in the last few years. He sold one company for $200 million and another for $30 million. That's Josh. His company's called Freestyle Capital. Aaron Patzer. Aaron started Mint.com, which he sold for $170 million. He was there that night. And then Jim Scheinman, who is the person that came up with this idea. His firm is called Maven Ventures. The most recent billion-dollar company that he was the first money to invest in is called Cruise. Cruise was acquired by General Motors. If any of you know, that's the whole platform for all their autonomous cars. So that event was so successful in 2010 that we said, let's do it again. This is the picture of the audience then, all Duke folks. We said, let's do it again in New York City. So this is at Dog Patch Labs in New York City near Union Square. Again, Duke startups presenting to mostly Duke investors in front of a Duke audience. So that is the genesis of this event, and that's what we've been running again and again, and which we are so happy to be with you here today. So just a couple more things, and then I think we're going to just let you all talk to each other for a few more minutes, and then we're going to grab the judges to come back here. So this event has actually led to some interesting things. So Mike Brown of Win-Win, he was on the Duke football team when he was a student. He raised $100,000 at the San Francisco event a couple years ago. Catherine Minshew, she was one of our first presenters in New York City. She's gone on, it's well above 1.2 million. This slide's a little bit outdated. Basil Anand, he started CoverHound, which has raised over 30 million. He also started Discourse, which got acquired by Medium, and on and on. There's been a lot of interesting stories that have come out of here. So if you want to get involved, I think it's listed on your program here, but please check out our website, join us on LinkedIn. More importantly, I would say join us on Facebook. And there's just a lot of fun things that are going on. We also have a Slack channel with about 1,000 people that are on it. So I'm going to take a pause there, and everyone should just feel free to mill about and network with one another. And then we're going to have the judges back here in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay, if everyone could bring it back in, we're gonna get to hear from our esteemed judges. So yeah, if you can make your way back to your seats, or just kind of like bring it in a little bit. Okay, Howie, do you want to take over for me?
You got it.
All right, so we have our judges over here. They have deliberated. I'll let you guys take it away.
Okay, so I think we're going to give a couple comments on each company and then announce the winners after that. For re-rent, so we're just going to go in order. The great news with re-rent is that I think it's going to be a successful business. You've got customers already. You're getting 2 or 3 times the amount of customers, in the second wave, you're trying to get more customers. It will be able to.
Pause you 1 second.
Yep.
Can we just bring the teams up to the front? That way they're not just talking to like a blank sea of people trying, but and then if you don't mind when you're giving feedback, just to come and stand up here, just to, get a little bit more of a doing a thing kind of thing.
Okay, Howie, we good?
Yeah, we're good. Please go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so good news is I think you're going to build a business that can make money. You're going to have employees. You're going to have the experience of building a company, going through the whole process, which is the entrepreneurial journey. And I think it makes money. There's been enough cases out there, use cases, to show that it actually works. The hard part is scaling this thing, and is it a venture-backed business? Like, that's a little bit more difficult. And actually, if you look at Pillow and you look at Apartment Jet and some of these companies, I know the founders of both, they're kind of bailing out early because I think it's also, they're getting acquired by companies that already have a lot of logistic stuff in place. But the question again is like scalability. And I think it's a good idea. I think you'll make money. I think it'll be successful. It's a good project. But I'm not sure that it has like there's too many like hard things about it too. But congratulations on setting it up, and that's a bit of feedback.
Sam, how are you? We really enjoyed your presentation. We thought it was fantastic. Again, I think you have the potential to have a really successful business. You've got a very clear market that you've identified and know very well. We sort of questioned, we know it's hard to build a media company. And I think one of the things we were looking at is not that you won't be the next Oprah Winfrey, but it's just going to take a long time to get there. And, we get to ask you one question, so we can't judge your desire or anything like that, which I'm sure is great. But, I thought it was fantastic. I thought you had your market down really well. And I think as you go out and you put these podcasts on and do other things, hopefully that opens the road for you to start producing some video and doing other things that I think is really what you want to do ultimately. And I think you'll definitely get there.
All right, Julia in cabinet.
So we thought your presentation was really strong. We were especially impressed with how sharp you were with numbers. So knowing exactly how you acquire customers, the 12% conversion rate is pretty incredible. And you clearly bring a lot of your personal experience, which makes you a really compelling salesperson for this company too. We weren't sure about other competitors in the space and sort of what you would be displacing, if anything. So it would have been great to hear about that. But overall, we thought you did a really great job.
Thank you.
Graffiti? Graffiti? Still here? All right, what do you want me to do? Just,
We can switch to the next one and then.
yeah, let's do
Next
that.
one in case he stepped out for a second.
All right. So PathSpot. All right, here. So we really like the strong value proposition. It's very, very clear about what the problem is you're addressing. And we like the subscription business model, be able to capture value from the customers over time. And that's actually rather than just a one-time sale. And that's pretty interesting. And we had a lot of questions around the hardware costs. What are the costs of the machines? What's the capital intensity going to be for this business? And, is that going to get the ROI you're going to need for venture scale and with venture investment? And there was also some questions around liability around false negatives. What happens if you miss something? Is that going to put more liability into your company? So, and for future presentations, that's something you might want to address. Thanks.
So,
Real factors.
hello, can you hear me? Okay, great. So we thought your presentation was great. It's obviously something with respect to data and commercial real estate that is very much a hot topic. A lot of people are trying to figure it out. So it's tremendous what you all have already done in terms of pilots and things of that nature. I think something to think about in the future, particularly the emphasis on data and where data is coming from. It'd be great to speak to what types of data you're using to find various results, from foot traffic in malls to knowing the performance of one particular location on one side of the street versus another. It would be helpful, and obviously we weren't able to ask all the questions we wanted, but certain things to think about that I think would be helpful. Okay, thanks.
Talk hiring? Okay, so we thought it was a great idea, very relevant, and voice is the future. So there's a lot going on with that. It was a wonderful idea that came from. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
The button is finicky.
Okay. Came from some great. It was very inspired. Very inspired.
Just don't touch the button.
I'm not going to touch the button. Okay, sorry. Okay, and there was just some feedback. There was some debate about whether or not employers at any level would not want to see their employer face to face and understand how they interact, but they did. We did think that you thought through your market. This was for lower level and mid-level jobs, but again, just debate about who, if you need to see your candidate face to face. And then additionally, we were talking about possibly low barriers to entry here because it is voice and it might be easily copied. You might have a lot of competitors coming your way. But overall, really inspired idea, and we liked it. Thank you.
So 5 to 9? So you guys are solving a real problem, and that's not a problem just for millennials. It's also a problem for old people like me. We want to do something meaningful at work, and to combine that with employee engagement and the employer and employee both meeting both needs is really, really important. You guys have done a great job in terms of getting traction already. As you grow, be open to partnering with other sales channels in order to grow, because you may need that to get into the big companies. Also, continue to reinvent your product every time and listen to your customer really, really, really well. But I think you have a great future ahead of you. It's a viable business, and you will do well.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
Okay, so we're just going to announce the winner or winners, and we're also going to announce the location of the after party. Kelsey, I've been told that you are the person that knows the location.
Yes, I can share some ideas.
Let's go with one. Whatever is your favorite one, we're doing it.
Well, Black Barn is right around the corner. They have a great bar.
Black Barn, right around the corner. They have a great bar. Black Barn. Okay, so write it down. We are going to Black Barn. I can't buy everybody drinks, but the people that presented and the panelists, I'm going to buy you drinks. And if you're very friendly, maybe I will buy you a drink. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so who's going to let us know the winner or winners?
Well, we have a couple of honorable mentions as well, in addition to the winners. The first honorable mention goes to Sam. We thought your company had a real unique opportunity to make a social impact on the world that we thought should be recognized. So good job.
The second honorable mention goes to Enterprise Play 5 to 9. You guys are solving an enterprise problem and doing enterprise sales, and that's great to know in these days and times where everybody is going after the consumer's pocket. So keep on doing what you're doing.
All right, I'm gonna announce the runner-up, which is graffiti. If you're here, you should come
graffiti here.
But we really liked your market in terms of the graphics and the data aspect of what you do. We feel like that is very promising, and looks like there's a lot of good technology. And on your way to getting $1 million in funding, good luck.
I feel like this should be like a raffle where if you're not there present for winning, it goes to the next person.
I think we need to do an event-based search on where they are right
That's right. We're going to find them.
All right, and I get to announce the winner. So Julia Hawkins with Cabinet, congratulations.
Great. So if we could just bring everybody in, we're going to just take a quick group photo. Everyone come on in. There's no just bragging rights. I wish I could give her like a lot of money. Would one of you mind taking our photo here? We're just going to take a quick photo, and then we're just going to network a little bit more here, and we're going to go to the location, which is called Black Barn. Black Barn. All right.
We'll part ways here.
All right.